Hello, everybody. You know it's Friday when Griff is having a coffee at nearly 7 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm having a coffee at nearly 3 a.m. UK time. I did see a certain someone, Griff, had promised to end daylight savings time in your country. Did you see this?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know, and
yeah.
then I was trying to work out that actually might be bad for me.
Yeah,
That
is
might
that
mean
right?
it's 10 hours difference.
Yikes! Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
We might need to. I could always get up at like five
Yeah,
thirty a.m. and
yeah, it
we
could
could
be
do.
that. You be the sleepy boy.
Yeah, no, I have no problem doing that. No, no,
Yeah,
no, for real. If we started rolling, like literally clicked live at 6 a.m. Pacific
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and we could go to like 7:30,
That'd be awesome.
because then I gotta go to work. But what.
The other thing is, the person who promised such a thing, as is pointed out in the chat, lots of people promised to do that. It never happened. Also, the person who promised it very likely had it the wrong way round. Um.
Yeah,
Anyway, we don't need to get into all that. Griff,
yeah.
do you have a better preamble topic than that?
Look, Matty, I was thinking about this. If they were to do a biopic, or is it biopic or biopic?
Ah, well, there you go. I think it's biopic.
I like how that flows better.
Right. Well, the other
Um,
word I can think of there is biopsy, right?
right, true.
Is that a biopsy?
I mean, but it is a it is a is it technically a portmanteau? Because it's short for biographical picture. Grammatically, is biopic a portmanteau?
This guy. This guy, chat.
Yeah, it is. It is portmanteau. Um, anyway, anyway, if there, so as a continuation of last episode's preamble,
Mm-hmm.
is there a historical figure from antiquity that you'd like to see a biopic of or on? And let's assume it's not just CGI slop. Let's assume it's like really well done, good
Well, did
script.
you ever see Napoleon?
Yeah, it was junk.
Everyone
Look,
said it was really bad.
yeah, I love Ridley Scott. I love that old guy, but he just phones it in when he wants to and turns it up when he wants to. Like
He phoned it in.
I don't know what his deal is. Like he some movies he puts a lot of care and effort into, and the other ones it's like he's making fun of the subject matter.
Oh
Like
dear.
I feel like in Gladiator
Well, to be
2,
fair, Napoleon is someone you could make fun of.
yeah, but he's such an intriguing person
Right.
that that it's you can still critique Napoleon and still take it a little more seriously. Like I don't think Joaquin Phoenix took that seriously at all. I thought he was just screwing around. Which I mean, I thought Joaquin was hilarious in the movie, but like I'm in the movie theater laughing instead of like, wow, I feel shaken by the weight of this film. Like that's what I was expecting. Anyway, I have a name or for a character, but I for a person, but I want to know yours.
Pete Carroll.
Antiquity.
Oh. Oh. Well, who's your name? I don't think about this.
Hannibal. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, sure. I actually don't know much about Hannibal.
Hannibal Barca.
Yeah.
Um, what's crazy is that after, I mean, what I think is super interesting about him is like the second wind in his life
Mm-hmm.
after he gets defeated by the Romans.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes and serves the Seleucids. Like the Romans just kind of let him go, um, which a privilege of the time period. But I don't know. I think that would be really interesting because he lives such an interesting. Like he's truly one of the most like has one of the most fascinating story arcs of the ancient world that we know about. Also, a movie that followed Mark Antony around would be cool.
You've put a lot more thought into this than I have.
Well, granted, it was I posed the question, right? It's unfortunate that this conversation is very male driven, though, because so many women were written out of history, and then obviously didn't have the opportunity to have their make their mark. But Cleopatra would also be an interesting one.
Now, I could be about to mispronounce something, but Mauritania has always interested me.
Mauritania?
Yeah, and then the Moorish people.
Okay. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I don't actually... I'm very ignorant on people who are rulers there, or would be interesting to have biopics about.
Right, for sure.
Which I guess would be why that might be an interesting biopic.
North Africa at that time was such an interesting melting pot.
Right.
All east to west.
And massively influential.
Right. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, so I think Taylor, our friend Taylor asked, who would you cast as Hannibal? Well, I don't know enough North African actors.
Oh dear!
I
You're
know.
Gonna whitewash it.
I know who Hollywood would try to cast.
Hans Mikkelsen
as Hannibal. No.
Yeah, it was a bad joke. Sorry.
No. Hollywood would probably try to cast Oscar Isaac.
I mean Mads Mikkelsen.
But
why did I say Hans?
And
Oscar Isaac.
He would do a great job, but he's not North
Really? Really?
Hollywood.
Oh, here's the thing. So, what's your view of Hugh Grant?
I love Hugh Grant. He's hilarious.
Yeah? You don't hate him?
He's who Mel Brooks would cast to play Hannibal.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be able to do it. He'd be awful. I need to drink this coffee, I think. You're very ahead of me. Have you been having coffee before me?
Not really, kind of at the same time.
Ugh. We do have a question here, which is football related. And chat, please do ask your questions. It's great to see returning names and all of you in here. Taylor saying, it's not a question, but things are dire when the defense looks good, but the lads are choosing offense.
That's true.
Dire might be a bit strong. I guess to me it's more interesting right now, something we can talk about in the podcast. But we are looking at Seahawks tape tonight, and we are going to look at the Seahawks 30-18 victory over the Cardinals, share our takeaways from both sides of the football before delving into the All-22 and some very impressive runs, and then some concerns which still exist that weren't necessarily alleviated, and maybe let's have some caution here before we then preview the Packers game, which is a massive chance for the Seahawks to stake their claim as NFC contenders. Griff, any other preamble topics?
No. Let's get rolling. Hit it, Matty.
I'm gonna hit it so good.
Love that.
Thanks. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast with Griffin and myself, Matty F. Brown. It's the tape episode. We're looking at the Seahawks 30-18 victory over the Cardinals in Week 14 of the season that put the team 8-5 and in a real good spot for when they play the Green Bay Packers this Sunday night, which we'll also be previewing, and they can become a leading NFC contender in that matchup. But first, tape from this Arizona game where Seattle solidified themselves as the NFC West top dog. Griff, they are 8-5, right? Did I get the record wrong?
No.
It's happened real fast. That's what happens, I guess, when you put together a winning streak.
Right.
Analysis. Let's talk. Our focus is going to be on the offense because I think that's more interesting to both of us. It's not that we don't enjoy the defense. The defense is doing great things. It's that Arizona, we kind of expected the defense to do well. They did well. They had some issues in some ways. The Green Bay game we cannot wait for in that sense because this is a premier opponent who threatens in ways that Seattle may struggle. And so if they can match that question, that test, then this is a top 5, maybe top 3, maybe top 1 defense in the entire league. If they struggle in that matchup, then it's, that's interesting. Here's how they need to improve moving forward from a personnel perspective and, how they need to keep continuing on this Mike McDonald defensive path. However, the offense, in some ways, this was the best game of the season, and in other ways, there's still some concerns. So it's a real kind of, how real is it? And I know we've got some questions on how genuine this offense improvement was and whether it's sustainable. And I think that's a more interesting topic to explore. But Griff, on the defense, what's your... Because we like to, even if we're not looking at tape on the podcast, we've obviously watched the defensive tape. Griff, any lasting impressions from what we saw in Week 14 versus Kyler Murray the second time round?
They're a defense that doesn't make very many mistakes, as in assignment busts anymore. Like those have all pretty much been cleaned up. It's more like minor mistakes, if there are any. And they don't give up very many air yard explosives. There's the one on the first drive that Kobe gave up. He just got beat. He read the route wrong. Other than that, though, like that is the main characteristic of the pass defense in particular. They simply don't give up anything deep. And that's going to be really interesting heading into the Packers game because the Packers go deep a lot and really well. So that will be an interesting strength versus strength. Surely something will have to give, but what side will give, we'll see.
Yeah, and on that point, and I don't want to, we will preview the Packers later, but the Packers go deep in kind of different ways. They'll tie it into their run action as well, and so will the Seahawks be able to stop the run? And it was a key emphasis from Dirty and McDonald in the pregame talk and press conferences about the need to kind of keep them behind the chain so that they're not able to have that run threat and that blend, and they're more clear passing situations where the Seahawks can get into their clear, like, hey, we're going to stop the deep pass coverages and concepts.
For sure. The run defense kind of had a lapse this game. It was quietly not very good. I think particularly downhill, they handled stretch stuff out to the perimeter quite well, but especially when they were in too high, stuff that was coming right down the pipe, duo, inside zone. The linebackers just kind of, again, it speaks to the scheme is tough on them when they're ball fitting. It's kind of becoming a little bit of an issue. It's not anything intrinsic to maybe tonight a little bit. It's not something intrinsic to Jones. It's just the commentary is it's tough. Jones is one of the best run defending linebackers in the league, and even he can struggle a little bit. That speaks to the scheme, not Jones, in my opinion. And there were a couple of scenarios where, even though every defensive lineman had a good game, all of them had maybe one rep where they just got washed. And when they did the run, that was the exact thing that you needed to not have happen. And they popped a 7+ yard run. There's one where Draymond Jones was just a little undisciplined, squeezing down the backside of his own play, and it squirted out on that one touchdown run. So just kind of things like that. It wasn't as tailored of a game plan as the first Cardinals game. The first Cardinals game was the most precise McDonald game plan I think we've seen all year. It was still a good one this game. I think he just relaxed a little bit. He's like, I don't really need to do a bunch of stuff on early downs because I think he just trusts his players to play. Matty, I don't know if you saw anything different there.
Yeah, they did a bit of passing down source, but yeah, I'd agree
Yeah,
with
passing down for sure.
your sentiment. Yeah, I guess to me it speaks of like the previous 2 weeks the D line was playing out of their mind, and then this week, as you say, there was like one or two plays where one or two guys or one guy had a bad moment, and then that combined with Julian Love like having his worst tackling game, where if a run against two high squirts out, he'd make the tackle at 5 yards. Well, he misses that tackle, then you can imagine the chunk of yardage that gets added onto that. And he's been an outstanding tackler this season. So I think it's like a combination of factors where I'm not concerned, but it's a kind of a note of the D-line still wrecking stuff, but in a less extreme way. And then obviously Green Bay with how they run the rock and the challenges they pose. I am slightly more anxious than I was before watching this tape about what Green Bay can do. But
yeah, the other agree with you, and then the other thing they didn't do this game well, it wasn't egregious, but that they didn't defend play action well this game. That's awful. That's the one statistical bucket that the defense is not doing well in the last five, six, 7 games. So like they've improved across the board, right? Mm-hmm. Run defense 1 high and 2 high, drop back passing game. Their third downs are really good, right?
Yeah.
The over the middle defense has improved greatly with the addition of Jones. But if there's the one category they're still like frankly bad at is play action. And that's cleaning that bucket up is what will thrust them into like legit top 5 status. And I think that's a reflection of probably personnel, and maybe McDonald needs to scheme that a little bit more. Again, Green Bay is really good at play action. The Vikings are really good at play action. That will be very interesting. We know it will be on McDonald's, top of mind, right? So how will he game plan that? But that's like the last hurdle to look for is how do they handle that? So, yeah.
Yeah, and McDonald took some accountability for some stuff going wrong on the first drive. I think that was to do with he chose to open with quite a bit of pressure and quite a bit of coverages where they were matched up in man, and that wasn't the way to do it with how the Cardinals were going on that drive, and it ended or culminated in Bryant getting matched up on a very tough route to cover in the type of man the Seahawks were playing there, or man match concept. So McDonald himself maybe self accountable there that he could have been a bit better on the first drive. And what I liked about the game, I guess, is from a defensive perspective, like the Bryant interception is a coverage bust on probably Love, but that's a really impressive pick to have the confidence to undercut that from his position and to do that from the post third, the middle third of the cover 3 that they were playing. There was a lot of guys still, making stuff right and doing good things. I thought Derek Hall had a quietly very good game. Some of his rushes, he's not getting sacks, but he's really impacting the quarterback. Uchenna Nwosu, I didn't notice him live because I don't know what I was doing, but on the tape, when he was in the game, he was impacting the game really big time as a run defender, as we expected. Definitely. But to see that from his injury already was awesome.
Yeah.
So
there's no mental rest there. He was processing blocking schemes so quickly. Yeah. And then Derek Hall. So Derek Hall's a pass rusher. He's finally figuring out how to find the edge at the top of the arc.
And, the angles.
Yeah. The initial footwork, throwing in some jab steps. Look, I still believe if he's going to be the best of the 3 big main edges, Nwosu, Mafe, and Hall, I think he'll be the best of them. Probably won't be definitively obvious till next season, but that's still my prediction. And Draymond Jones has been playing good football the past month and a half. So
really good football. He had a great rep in this game where the Seahawks were in some trouble if he hadn't rushed how he did.
Yeah.
And he drew the hold, of course, on the play which Tyrese Knight had a tough moment as a robot defender.
Yeah, that's true. That was a lousy rep from Knight, but like
Yeah,
again,
so
I wouldn't expect anything different.
So Tyrese Knight, I think our commentary is going to be similar on him in that he's learning on the job. He has a couple of really good plays, but there's a lot of kind of that's a bit slow or not good. But
Mhm.
he it's worth talking about him again because he was named NFC Rookie Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that's great for him. To me, it's like the things that he is in front of him, he defends quite well, um, for the most part. Uh, like some of those weak side choice routes he handled pretty well. Like those are tough.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, the pass breakup he had when they went into empty and they tried to isolate Marvin Harrison Jr. on him in the
mhm.
slot, and he had the pass breakup as you say, Griff.
Yeah,
That's really impressive to be able to do that. That's
yeah,
like they're trying to pick on. I mean, a linebacker on Marvin Harrison Jr. that should not go well, and yet
right.
he played his leverage and pitched his tent and stayed calm in that moment to make that play in a very impressive fashion.
Yeah, but like stuff like he can get out leveraged to the flat a lot with like the running back to the flat still. Then the stuff going on behind him, he just doesn't have feel for. And then that like part of that is like tape study and like NFL experience will help with that. But you either show some signs there early on or you don't. And I don't think he's showing the sign like those little morsels of like, oh, he could do this or that moving forward, but it just hasn't. I don't know. He needs more reps either way. So,
Sure.
like the contrast watching him versus Jones, like I mean, like what would we expect, right? But like Jones is just a Jupiter-sized difference between the two in terms of all that.
Yeah. I'd be interested to watch like Jones's college tape because I think I probably discounted him because he ran fairly slow and
Well, he still looks like he's moving in slow motion out there on tape, but
oh yeah,
he's
no, I know, but like I'm just
yeah,
curious because I think there's a lot of talk about him developing with the Rams and improving with the Rams and learning from Bobby Wagner, right,
yeah.
and growing from that experience. But I want to know like how real is that, or was there? You're saying you want to see signs from a guy early of some of that type of like upper end play, stuff
Sure.
behind play, and I'm wondering if Jones always had that, or if he learned it, but. Yeah, it was obvious when we watched his stuff with Tennessee and even his Rams stuff when he was like the guy, that he was the dude, and he still is the dude. He had like one bad play in this game, but the rest was still excellent. Um, I'm interested, Griff. Like they're obviously going to pay him, like, but it's going to be a lot of money. Like it's going to be a heck of a lot of money, I think.
I think they're going to shoot for 3 years, 30 million.
Okay. Well, few.
But and they can afford that, but I don't know. It depends.
Oh,
Um,
I had another question on him, but I've blanked on it. But he's playing well, Griff. You agree? He's still a very good player. He's in with the shout of all pro contention.
yeah, yeah. He's. I mean, I watched him. I watched like a shit ton of linebackers last year or this past off season,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's just my ranking, right? But I ranked him
Thanks for
14th.
clarifying that.
Yeah, I ranked him 14th, and I mean, the main thing I drew from that was that he's really patient and decisive against the run. He
Mm-hmm.
can play aggressively, he can play conservatively
Yeah.
against the run when he needs to. His spot dropping is really good, and he can't match receivers, not because he doesn't understand like how to do it, but like 4-7 versus 4-4-5,
Mm-hmm.
is what it
And
is.
McDonald's doing a pretty good job as a play caller of tailoring when he asks Jones to spot drop
Right.
and versus when he asks him to actually be in a weak hook and be a match
Mhm.
guy. Like
And
his
it,
one robot rep was up against the tight end, right, in this game. And
mhm,
the Arizona tight end, McBride, is a very good tight end, but it's an easier assignment than having to deal with like a speed at three guy. And you saw, and it was also a clear passing down. They also were playing with a bit of disguise. And Jones played the route expertly. But
Right. His
your point,
footwork is
Griff, was
great, but in his footwork accommodates his lack of speed. It's very reminiscent of late stage KJ. So
yes,
if
yes,
KJ had a final three to the field, right? Say KJ's to the boundary, the trip sides to the field. KJ would pivot and hinge off of the boundary hash to intersect with him eventually, like in between the hash and the numbers when they would actually connect. Whereas KJ in his youth, when he was a little more spry, would push from the boundary hash to the middle hook and intersect with him at the middle hook because his
yes.
speed could handle it. As he got slower, he had to time it right. Ernest Jones is doing that because he's probably as slow right now as KJ was in 2020, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little faster. And it's like, so he knows, so like, right, McDonald's times it up. You're totally right. And Jones can handle it because he's using his patience, smarts, footwork, tempoing, and all that stuff, right? What Jones has got going for him athletically, even though his 3-cone was 3 percentile, I don't know if he just tested poorly, but like his, whatever you want to call it, his functional change of direction, his coordination is sky high. And that's why
Oh,
that
yeah.
combined with his processing makes him functionally faster on the field. But in situations where it's
Which,
like straight line speed, like, yeah, it's going to get
yeah.
it.
Well, like, and you saw that change of direction show up on his interception, where his ability to open his hips to the final three threat, and then see that a receiver wasn't threatening, like, so he didn't need to match that. See that the routes were developing in a way that called for him to set up, square up to the quarterback, and then break to the ball thrown basically where his back had been,
Yeah.
and make that interception. That was very quick, short area, change direction, but also that kind of joined up thinking between what he's seeing, like knowing what he's seeing, having his eyes in the right spot, and then that being connected very quickly to his feet, and then his body being able to pivot so fast and be so controlled in that moment is all of the things that Tyrese Knight, and it's an unfair comparison, obviously, but it's all of the things that if Tyrese Knight wants to improve, like that's a big area for him. Like the whole eyes to feet connection is just, he's right on the edge right now, and I'm interested to see if teams do keep trying to go at him more, like because he has, as we've said, he had a really good pass break up against Marvin Harrison Jr. and a few other good plays. But there's other stuff where you're like, maybe that'll come with time. Hopefully it comes with time, but you also would like to see him do it by the end of this year. Otherwise you might, well, I think the Seahawks will look to upgrade on him. So
Yeah, we'll see.
Look forward to it. Anything else on the defense, Griff?
Yeah. Oh, Jen mentioned Byron Murphy in the chat. Yeah, he had a really good game. Like run and pass. It might have been his most complete game of the
And I don't
season.
know if it was because Leonard Williams is, dealing with stuff. They're just trying to keep guys fresh. But it felt like Byron Murphy was afforded a few more pass rush opportunities. Like they played him some nose in passing downs, whereas it had just been Reed and Williams working in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that's cool.
Yep, definitely.
But they really do have such a talented defensive line. They're able to do so much with it. So there you go.
Agreed.
Right.
Right.
Ajaz, thank you so much for the donation. How can you tell it's Christmas season for the Seahawks? There are no L's.
All right. That's right.
I don't get that.
I don't think it's a pun. I think they're just saying it's all wins, so therefore it's Christmas. Works for me. Go Hawks. Bang.
There's
Matty.
elves, not L's.
There are no L's. I don't think there's an intended deeper meaning. I think just we take it.
I don't know. We have very intelligent listeners and watchers of the show.
But Matty, sometimes you just have to take something as is presented.
Just take the money and shut the up.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Well, thank you, Ajaz. Appreciate that and your continued support. Chat, you don't have to give us money. Although if you'd like to, please do.
You don't have to. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You definitely don't have to. You don't have to give us money.
No, please don't feel obliged to give us money.
But it is vehemently encouraged.
Right, but
You don't have
on a
to.
more serious note, one thing that is free
You
and
don't have to give
costs.
us money, guys.
Griff, I'm trying to get them to like the video.
You don't have to.
No, you do have to like the video because
You,
it's
yeah.
free and it doesn't cost anything. And oh wow, look what you've done!
What's good?
Reflect the sun. Thank you. You got an alien.
You're too kind.
That's awesome.
Reflect the Sun wants us to talk about the drones. We still don't know what they are, bro. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? The drones?
No.
Okay, so in New Jersey, there's like all these drones floating around, like the size of a car. And at night, they're like
no, there
bright,
isn't.
emitting a super bright light. And then I myself, what was it? Wednesday night? I saw one. I'm like, hold up, because right now Jupiter's out at night. You can see Jupiter, but when I saw this, I thought, oh, it's Jupiter because it was suspended in the air. I was like, that's cool. Like, but wait a second, it's not dark enough out for it to be this bright. That light has to be in our own atmosphere. And so I saw it, and like I'm staring at it, and then it starts to gently float away. And I was very confused by that, like kind of like the little motion. And then the light went out, and there was another one behind it, further away. And I'm like, this can't be a helicopter. It can't be a plane because it was suspended in the air. It has to be something with like omnidirectional. And so I don't think I'm not an alien guy. I mean, I believe aliens are real. I don't think they've ever visited Earth.
But how did the pyramids get there?
Human ingenuity and lots of
forced labor.
Yeah. Indentured servitude, to put it gently. Anyway, I think it's interesting that, I think the government knows what they are. I just don't think they're going to tell us.
I don't believe that there's loads of car-sized drones flying over New Jersey.
Okay, there definitely are.
Okay.
It's not a matter if they are there or not. It's a matter of what are they.
Right. So, has this been a story in America that I've missed?
Yeah, it has been. It's been underreported in Seattle, but multiple people saw them in Seattle. It wasn't just me. It was on the Seattle Reddit. Somebody told me. So I wasn't crazy. I wasn't just seeing things. Anyway, good stuff. Hit it, Matty.
Isn't that just the Chinook?
Chinook helicopter?
Yeah.
No, this was legit. It made no noise.
Apparently they've been seen in Astoria, Oregon as well.
Yeah. So what's going on there? Interesting that they're being seen on the coasts.
Wow. Well, thank you, Reflect the Sun, for the donation. And cycling us back to football, Jordan, thank you for the donation. Does the guard tackle counter run play work against more talented fronts? It seems like a relatively long developing run play. Also, have you guys noticed if we run to the weak side outside the counter often enough? Jordan, what a fantastic couple of questions, or trio of questions there. Because, Jordan, that is basically going to be the entire focus of this segment. There'll be a bit sprinkled in, but when we get to the tape of the offense, that is, if you feel we haven't answered it sufficiently, request the refund, because that's what we're gonna.
That's a great. I love the framing of the question, and the very first question, because I mean that's a raging debate among coach Twitter even. So I think that's a great question. In my opinion, the way Seattle's applying it, I would say yes, and we're going to unpack why. But curious what your thoughts are, Matty.
Yeah, I think Yes, but not against.
It depends, right?
It depends on, but like so. Before we get to the tape, Drift, just brief overview. I am shocked that Arizona played how they did, like one way of playing against that the look where the GT counter run was popping.
Like the walked out linebacker and stuff.
Yeah, like are we gonna do something different here? Like,
Like,
are we just gonna sit in the look every time and just get
yeah,
gashed?
yeah.
Yep. So there was like an interesting cat and mouse act throughout this game, and we have a question from it's on our last video from Cataclysm saying would like to see why the run game dried up in the second half of Seattle's offense. And we're going to see why, because Arizona came with some really good answers in the second half. The Seattle, I think just generally, for me, Griff, with Ryan Grubb, it's the run game was popping in certain ways. In some of those ways, it continued to pop into the second half. In other ways, it didn't pop in the second half. The reason it didn't pop in the second half wasn't like the blocking got worse or Seattle started messing stuff up. It's that Arizona came with different answers, different pressures for it. And I would like Grubb to have anticipated that Arizona would adjust, but also have answers for their adjustments already baked in and not be kind of caught behind the eight ball in that sense. And I think the big answer or solution for a lot of this stuff is play action.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it looks like the run, if they're pressuring into that, then you're enticing that even more. Like, stuff's going to pop open. You've got them committing more bodies to the run, in theory, right? You've created more isolation for your play action stuff down the field. But their play action game, Griffin, in this game was still a case of a lot of... I said after the post-game show that I thought that they called one play action, which was faked towards the tight end side to the strong side, but I was wrong. Like, that was just me coping. It was the Jake Bobo. He wasn't a tight end. All of the play action in this game, chat, was faked to the weak side, away from where the tight end is, and they didn't run to the weak side in that way, particularly from under center. So like the under center pass game in general, but the play action stuff, it's still leaving so much to be desired, and it's a problem when teams start committing, you know, finding answers for that type of stuff. Now, the shotgun stuff, like the gun run game was what was popping throughout, really, and then sprinkling in more quick game, that was exciting. But Griff, I don't want to take up the whole offense. What were your thoughts on this before we actually look at it?
The quickest way I know how to summarize, and I'm bad at being concise, is that the gun drop back game throughout the whole game was diverse, meaning they ran different formations and they ran different plays off of when they did run the same formation, or like a minor like progression off of a formation. So they gave him a lot of looks, and there's a lot of conceptual diversity off of those looks. And I think part of where that diversity came from was that Grubb infused quick game, a lot of quick game. And there's been like a handful of games this year where there's a lot of quick game, like the ratio of quick game to 5 and 7 step drop is close to 1-to-1. And then all the other games, it's like 1-to-5. So just not very much quick game, which makes his drop back super imbalanced within his pure drop back sample. I think by instituting quick game was really important, not just because of quick game in and of itself, but it buoys the deeper drops because it allows them to be complementary off of one another, fit around each other. So balance, like if you're not going to run a lot in gun, then be balanced in your pass game. Now that said, they did run a lot in gun as well. And that also helped, I think, slow down the pass rush, and it's important to put those runs on tape. The run game dried up in the second half, though, out of shotgun. And again, we'll get into why. Arizona adjusted. Seattle didn't have a counterpunch, essentially, to the adjustment, which is a little frustrating, frankly, but whatever, it's fine. So shotgun in general was good this game. Under center was maddening again for all the same reasons. The one change-up was that, so when they were punishing the linebackers for keying on what they're doing, because they're tipping plays still. The one silver lining was that, hey, they actually checked it down and punished the linebackers for gaining depth, and they were able to get yards after the catch to the running back or tight end.
Yeah.
So great, but like your concept still isn't popping. They're still defeating your structure.
Yeah.
You don't run play action to check down all game long. You run play action to get your chunk gains at the second and sometimes third level.
And just keeping it on an overview perspective, and I mentioned how I was surprised that Arizona kind of sat in that same look against that same formation that the Seahawks had and kept getting that guard tackle counter that Jordan mentioned in their donation. But also Arizona from a, just talent perspective, they don't have much. From a like defensive soundness perspective, at times it's approaching unsound. Like their whole strategy is essentially letting Budda Baker be like a roving type guy and move around and do his thing and blitz from depth and that type of stuff, which is great in theory. But then when you see a game like this, you're like, this is crazy. This is insanity. Like Budda Baker, one, ain't got the body type to be blitzing be your like key to stopping the run. But two, also, like there has to be more. And then also, Griff, I'd say about the pass protection is the type of fronts Arizona run. Like they're a lot of odd fronts.
Mm-hmm.
A load of NFL teams have kind of gone away from that for a reason, which is really getting a 4-man pass rush out of that is difficult at times. And so basically what I'm saying is from a personnel and also a scheme perspective, this is about as good as it's going to get for the Seahawks offense.
Yeah. The one silver lining to this is they did find the bubble against their even fronts. So they were able to run counter to they were able to run counter to like the bubble side against an over front. And because that means the tackle to the B gap gets a free climb to one of the linebackers. What was frustrating is when the Cardinals started run blitzing them in the second half off of those odd front looks, and Seattle had no answers for that. At a certain point, like just run gun inside zone and just feel the wash. And because the one thing about zone is that it has, in theory, even though it's simple, in theory on paper it has an answer for anything the defense can do because you're just reading combos. And the running back just goes, just reads that out, and in theory, you can make it work. But they don't have that right now.
And then, before we will get to the tape, don't worry, guys. I know you're anxious. But Griff, I don't know if you've seen this tweet, but it's quite a good tweet from. Let me just bring it up on the screen here. But don't know if you've seen this one. From a stat account saying how often quarterbacks make excellent throws or risk a turnover.
I just retweeted that.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Oh, right.
Me? Never. Look at that, man. So, hey, what do we, if we were in math class right now and the teacher said, what do you conclude from this given Gino's interception rate?
Well, I'd be in mathematics class, I would be drawing football formation.
Yeah, but we would be evaluated for our chart reading literacy. We would conclude that, Geno doesn't have very many interception-worthy throws. Geno Smith has a lot of interceptions. How do we reconcile these two objective facts? We reconcile it by saying, a high percentage of Geno's turnover-worthy throws are getting intercepted, variance, and additionally, he's getting intercepted on throws that are not turnover worthy. Ergo, he's the recipient of bad luck. Over time, this should smooth out.
Very
Cut
good.
Geno Smith. Trade Geno Smith.
Okay. Brilliant.
Anyway.
Let's I can't retweet it because I'm not logged in. But good follow obviously here, stat account or account stat, but with 3 C's. Interesting.
Yeah.
Right then, the tape. Woo.
All right, finally.
Jeez, it's gonna be a long podcast. Right.
Do
So
we just
first,
look at under center?
no, we can't because we have to look at the gun run game. But this is an
Okay.
example of gun quick
Right.
game,
Got
which is good, like diverse. What do you make of when they shift like this, Griff? So that they align formation in boundary under center, and then they shift like this. I mean, I guess it gets a zone confirmation.
I think some of it's to see what they're doing against under center.
Right, like what look are they going to get presented if they align into the boundary?
Right. And they just like Pete's or whoever just logs that for later. They're like, okay, this is what they run when we present under center.
Does it force a check, like a predictable check? I don't know.
It might be about identifying who's dropping and who's rushing between the Sam and the Will when they run 5 down. Because if you do formation to the boundary, like right now, like right now when you shift to trips to the field and the Sam walks all the way out, like I think he's dropping.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Do you think this is PI on JSN?
Yeah. So is this a screen? Because look at how Gino reads this. Gino opens.
You'd expect him to throw this, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
So it might be a screen.
Because with JSN blocking, like, why is he doing that? You know, like just a swing screen. But Gino makes it look like it's not a screen to everyone involved. Like he opens weak. I mean, he looks like he's reading.
Well, so many teams attach like this type of thing to these types of
in the read.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Either way, though, they're 4 strong. This game was pretty interesting. That was pretty cool. And they had
because
a couple different ways to do it.
Because so this is 4 strong guys. So there's 3 guys here, and then there's the 4th guy. So the 4th guy is to the strong side, right? So what that means is when you have DK as the X, which you're going to have a lot of the time, if they're going to double him, well, then you're going to have the numerical advantage over here, aren't you? So there's a cool play later on. But basically, because there's all one-on-ones out here, because they're deciding to give bodies over here, that means when they throw the screen here, we have that guy blocked quite easily. This guy's occupied, and we have the numerical advantage. They are 4 on 4. They don't have the +1 here. The +1, look how many bodies are diverted to DK, basically. They don't push with that. And that's what Mike McDonald talks about when he says like DK's opening up a lot in the passing game. That's why JSN's getting the ball. That's why Charbonneau is getting the ball underneath. They're all playing cover 2 to DK's side. They're sinking under him. There's like 3 guys in DK's area, and the like check down in the flat or like the low hook like curl area is open.
Right.
But yeah, is that PI from JSN? I'm pretty sure that is PI.
Yeah, illegal blocking downfield.
Not in college, but like he's blocking now.
Yeah.
Anyway. Right, so here's the run which pops big time. So structurally,
it's an RPO first of all, right?
You think?
Well, you get a bubble action at the bottom of the screen.
So like a pre-snap read for Gino where he can throw to the bubble if he likes it, but why would he throw to the bubble when there's 4 over the 3, right?
Right.
Okay.
By the way, they present this picture 5 times and they run the same
It's insane.
RPO off it.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was predictable. Now, it didn't matter because it's the first time they've given this look to a defense ever. I'm surprised Arizona didn't key on it the second and third time.
Well, when you're saying they present this look 5 times and run the same look,
the same play.
Arizona ran this. I thought you were talking about Arizona because Arizona ran basically the same play each time as well. So
No, Seattle.
No,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess you don't need to change the look because Arizona was matching it with the same look basically each time as well.
Right. My thing was I expected them to like fire zone or
Yeah,
something.
no, it's crazy that didn't happen. So,
Yeah.
so guys, structurally for Arizona, this is the outside backer walked out. They're showing like they're in too high, but ultimately, this is obviously a weak spot. Particularly if you can send bodies around, because then this guy gets taken out. And how they chose to play it was Buda Baker coming down and like trying to run it down from the backside. Because if they're pulling right, then this guy's going to block back here. No one can block him, so he has to make the play. So on this play, you'll see how it works. Oh, I highlighted the wrong guy. This is Buda Baker, I believe. So you see, he just runs through, and he makes the tackle for loss. They kind of mess up front side, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Now there is a reason why Buda plays this so aggressively. I mean, look at the stances of the left tackle and the left guard, Cross and Lakin. Like
these guys are further back, so it's obvious they're pulling.
It's very much like
yeah.
Like they're screaming, "We're gonna pull."
The other thing I'd say here as well is Arizona on this play. I think they moved their line, so they're removing that kind of weak spot.
Yeah. And Collier does a decent job at working to the front side C gap.
Yeah.
Just enough to
yeah. To take out this puller, to which creates 7 the path to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, what I want to see off of this, if they do this against Green Bay, I want to see a counter QB read into a pop pass. I want to see
what, Gino, like midline?
But I want a pop pass though to the weak,
to who?
To the weak isolated receiver
from a shorter split.
So like you can get the receiver on a double move, blocking down like a sluggo. Gino keeps like he's gonna run, and then he just lobs it up. You know, with Gino reading the edge, the weak edge.
But the Packers don't run this front, do they?
You can still read the well, no, they do. They run a lot of Bear and Penny. Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That would be cool. Yeah. So it doesn't work here.
Passes don't feature more. Whatever.
Because the quarterback gets rocked.
Remember the pop pass from Russ to Ricardo Lockett, I think?
I don't.
In the Green Bay game, 20. Well, I think that might have been the Hail Mary game.
I don't.
Chad, if you know what I'm talking about, fact check me.
So essentially, here, this is a good execution from the Cardinals. It's good how these guys, I think, anticipate the pullers on this play. The way that they all step down on the line like this. But it's a front which is vulnerable to this type of run, just structurally. And like I coach this front basically, and it's a pain in the ass having to do. If teams can do this, this is you have to have more answers or get out of this front. Especially if your guys aren't very good up front, which I'm blessed with good guys, so it's not a problem. But Arizona, you could say, slightly less talented than the Seahawks. Well, I don't know. Well, the Seahawks line showed that they're better than Arizona's D-line in this game, at least. So Baker runs it down. You can see how Charbonnet's still almost getting a crease here, but the real key is that 7 doesn't get wiped out by that pull. And so they kind of both join that tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to a play where it actually hits. I actually thought, I see Metal Dragon pointing out about Buda Baker. I actually thought this game was kind of not bad, but they're asking a lot of him, and I'm not sure it's necessarily his deal. Anyway, so here, this isn't the exact same look. This is a rare occasion where they run the counter to a tight end rather than a slot, but it's a similar principle. I don't know. In the preseason, all of Grubb's best stuff was run where the corner was in the fit.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be able to do that off of a nub trips look, where the tight end is the lone receiver, as well as slot trips.
Right. Enough variance there, right?
Yeah.
So this is...
Or a tight end trips, I meant to say. So this is awesome. Cross makes this.
Yeah. Massive block from Cross, because this guy would be taught to rock cross and then win into this C-gap, right? And try and take out that puller like Collier did on the previous play.
Mm-hmm.
That would then enable this guy to... I mean, these guys, I don't know what they're really reading. They're like playing pass first, both of them, which doesn't really work like that.
Yeah. And the reason why running a gap scheme, so where you've got two pullers to a bubble side, in this case you have a C-gap bubble, is because that means the tight end gets a free climb. He doesn't have to engage a defensive lineman. He gets to engage a second-level player. So he gets to pick off 34 unabated. And then your kick out is going to be Lucas. He's going to kick out the edge on the line of scrimmage. And then your lead block is the kick out is Lamea, sorry. And then your lead block is Lucas, the second guy through, and he gets to climb to the second level. And then is that McIntosh? He gets to read off the lead block, just reading the hat of whatever blocker Lucas engages with.
So whenever you run like odd fronts like this rather than a B-gap bubble being an issue, which is something we've spoke about, like there's no B-gap bubble. There's two guys in the B-gap. The problem for this type of front is, as Griff pointed out, this C-gap, because if you can seal this guy here, this guy gets a free release up here, and then we're getting a puller to take this guy and this guy out, then this is a big area to run the football. And that's what the Cardinals had issues with, particularly in the first half. So that's a very important concept to understand as we progress through this. But that's a nice run from the Seahawks where everyone executes well. I posted a clip of Oluwatimi here because of how he pulled his hips through, talked through this, and played long.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty textbook for like a back block from a center on a 4-eye, right?
Definitely.
Or 3-tech.
Because that's a long ways to go.
Yeah.
No one's able to work front side.
95 almost did, but or is it 55? But he like slips. Cross does enough, right?
Yeah, and McIntosh reads, even though it's blocked up perfectly, McIntosh reads this well. So as Lucas comes through, 24 has outside leverage on Lucas. Lucas is getting boxed. And then as opposed to spilled. And then Barner, 34 tries to work over the top of Barner. So McIntosh reads, okay, fitter outside, next guy, fitter outside. So I'm going to work inside.
Yeah.
And there's that crease right up there.
Basically like running off the butt of Lucas, but then at this point here, seeing outside, I can cut back here.
Into that C gap. So it couldn't go more perfectly than that.
Yeah. Barner, I don't know if we'll have time. I might have to do a cut up, but as Sean points out in the chat, Barner's blocking in this game is very, very good. Like really good.
Barner year 2 is going to be really interesting. I don't know what his ceiling is, but He could be a really good like tight end too in a perfect world. Maybe better than that. We'll see.
Yeah. So we're just looking at this same concept, and then we'll look at some others. So here again, formation indicator-wise, you can tell these guys are pulling, right? Because they're further back. It's to the trips open side again, so you can see. Yeah, go ahead.
Just like the specific tell us that it's the RPO look I was talking about. So when the tight end is up relative, or when the number 3 is JSN, and then the number 2 is the tight end, and the number
which
3
is here.
Yeah, Fant. And when the number 2 is up, not necessarily on the line of scrimmage, but closer to the line of scrimmage than JSN, then it's that RPO. Like they only run this bubble counter RPO off of this look.
And structurally, where the Cardinals weak, they're weak to this point here. Part of the reason they do this is because is this guy going to come out here with the 3 if they want to play 4 over 3 to this side, or is he going to come down here and then we can throw the bubble? Mm-hmm. So this is the guy who's placed in conflict by playing 3 open to this look. He has to be like your soft force player and also be responsible for 3 if we're playing 4 over 3. Mm-hmm. And again, the Cardinals try and play this the same way. Now, Grubb, Gino credited Ryan Grubb with this one. The Seahawks got to the line quickly in this situation, and apparently Grubb changed the play like in Gino's headset after seeing how the Cardinals were lined up to this, which... It's a soft edge, and what they're trying to do is, because this guy is sort of soft playing here and then here, they're trying to do what we saw in the first play where Baker's going to run it down, they're going to get good play here, and this guy's going to join in late, and they're going to kind of vice it inside and outside. So you can see where that goes wrong for Arizona on this one. And there's obviously a missed tackle, which most big runs have at least one missed tackle.
Another great back block from Olu.
Yeah, really good work from Olu.
He gets out of his stance so fast, man.
Right.
And look, he cancels the 3 technique. Sorry, my dog's acting up. The 3 technique tries to cross face, and he doesn't let him. So many counter plays get killed in the cradle because the backside player gets into the backfield, like we saw the first attempt, right, with Buddha.
Yep.
So these down blocks on the backside are so important, and Olu shuts that down quick.
Yep.
Look at that. He can't work over, and then Cross and Lakin do a good job as well.
Yeah, this is a good job from Cross of knowing that if this guy is determined to go outside like this, then the kick out has to take it. We can double up here, and we can almost treat that guy like this. They're in the same gap basically, and now you can see how it cuts here.
Yeah. So really good reactive improv from Cross, like you said.
Laumea demolishes that guy.
Yeah. Look how quickly Shard reads that, knowing where the crease is going to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He anticipates it right off of the butt of Cross. Like, that's awesome. Now, it's still blocked up really well. And it's a great scheme beater from Grubb and Buff. But, like, the execution's good too. It's positive feedback loop, right? Instead of a negative one. The players making the play call look great. The play call making the players look great.
Mm-hmm. That's something that McDonald spoke about as well.
Yeah.
So you can see here they got to the line quickly. Gino, I think, looked over to the green men who Prime Vision covered in that 49ers first game, and which we spotted. I think the green men were doing some signaling here. Gino then tells the line we're changing the play. They get into a different look. It would be nice if we had we don't actually get to see what the Cardinals look lined up in initially when they were in the under center look. But anyway, cool. I think they force a predictable check, I guess, by doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a cool one. Let's go to the play that through and then go to the next one. And just nice to see a run game. Like these plays are meant to work, but as you said, Griff, the players making it work actually.
They get all the juice out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. So this looks very similar. Different guys pulling.
Kind of another RPO-ish, like, because you get
it's like the same play, right?
It's like a flare bubble.
Like 3 is the bubble, this is the block, this is the block. Low snap, so you can't really throw it.
And then is this bash technically because the center is pulling?
Well, I'd pin pull. I don't know what the rule. Like, I'm sure that's just the. I'm sure this is just the rule for like.
Or not bash, but buck.
I'm sure this is the same play, but it's just because this guy's a 2, we can block down here and pull this guy.
Great point. Yeah.
Because otherwise, this guy's not going to be able to. They're gonna. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
you have a B gap and a C gap bubble. Cardinals are a little unhinged.
But the Cardinals here are trying to chase it down again. It's like the same mode of play where they're trying to slant, chase down with Baker, and pressure. And this play really, because Baker's chasing it down from. Oh my gosh, who's loving that? Chat, which dog do we think this is?
That's Brady. I'll mute for a moment.
Brady is excited because Arizona's trying to chase it down where Baker previously was trying to chase it down here and then run through. Because they're actually chasing it down from the line, you actually see that Baker gets closer to making this play. So he is in the backfield here and misses the tackle. So this should have been a TFL, really. But great work from Charbonnet of hopping and breaking that tackle and getting the hard yards.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive from Charbonnet. Like, he knows that. He visions him. He knows he's getting hawked from behind. He knows he's getting tailed.
But I spoke about like wanting to see them have answers, and maybe this is a possible answer, like the RPO attached to this play. Maybe, when you see this, and if the snap wasn't low, Gino would have thrown this.
Right. Because then it's 3-on-2.
Yeah.
Well, depends on how.
But like, you've got good leverage, right?
Yeah. Tomlinson had a good game. This game.
What, Laken?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He deserves that recognition after kind of being a problem.
Mm-hmm. As if there's another Seahawks Tomlinson. So finally, wait, is this the same? Yep. So they do need to do a bit of a better job, I'd suggest, with their splits against better teams. But this is running into the boundary now. And they have a tough time with the nose tackle. But ultimately it's still blocked quite well. And McIntosh does a pretty good job of surviving. But the nose tackle kind of anticipates how Olu's going to be quick to down block because he's so quick out. And then that makes it really hard on Laumea to get him. And then he's able to kind of pick off the second pull, which means...
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that gun run with how the RPO is attached, I think that's a real positive. I don't think many teams will be as predictable as Arizona was and kind of in the same mode each time of playing it. But I like Griff. I'm fairly content that that's like a real positive of this game. If you want to see a one way of killing it, guys, let's go to a bit later in the game. But Griff, you'd agree that that's like a real positive.
The fact that they can run it in both directions, strong side and weak side. The fact that they can find that they can work it to a B gap bubble or a C gap bubble is encouraging. And it would additionally having the RPO option. I hope they actually take advantage of that. And it's not just fake dressing, window dressing, because that will keep it the whole package more viable. I imagine Green Bay will have a better answer for it, having seen it. So yeah, Matty, what is Arizona's adjustment here?
Well, this is the same play where Baker missed the tackle for loss, right? Basically, where Gino probably could have thrown this, but it's risky with this guy screaming off the edge. But this is where the RPO needs to be thrown in the future, particularly in more like neutral situations. But then that being said, what's the score? This is a 1st and 10. They're up by 9. Yeah, I guess this is fine to hand off, but like chasing it down with Baker on the backside here, closer to the line, it works. And they get the TFL. They also understand how they can play this. I mean, and there's something in the NFL of seeing it enough times. And I think Grubb actually does have an answer baked into the play here, so that's cool. I'd just like to see that thrown. But my view really is Arizona was struggling on that most of the game, and that's all good. But what I had more of an issue with was like the under center stuff. So there were some really good under center runs as well. I need to I've got a whole list of plays, so just bear with me a second, and I will bring them up. Right, so we talked about the C-gap bubble. Okay, so here we go. So where's the C-gap bubble? Well, there's 2. And the 12 personnel element to this game, Griff, was interesting as well. I felt there are other runs which popped other than that guard tackle counter we saw came from 12. And obviously when you're running a 3-4 defense, like you're going to have this issue occasionally. And so it might not be seen as often. At the same time, Pharaoh Brown's a good blocker and Barner was really good this game.
So this is the exact formation that they ran duo off of a bunch against New York last week.
Yeah. And we should talk about like general run game wise, right? I know there's been some coverage over how the Seahawks gap percentage has like massively increased the last 2 games. I don't think there's much to read into that other than it was working. And like, as you said, Griff, against the Jets, it was the duo. So like, it's like a power play, but without the puller. And then against the Cardinals, it was largely guard tackle counter.
Right.
But I don't think it's like necessarily like they want to get good at something or 2 things, as Grubb said, while being multiple, but get really good at 2 things. Yeah. But I don't know if that is going to be duo and guard tackle counter. I think it's just that it was working. But anyway,
it was working. And then in this game, they were like motion. So last week they would motion into that duo look, right? One of the tight ends would motion front side, and then just to get an extra, like to form like a late wing kind of. Then in this game, they would motion the tight end right here, and then they would run. I call it power because
this is power.
Yeah.
But it looks like counter almost, right?
It looks like, right. If the It's because the tight end crosses the center before the ball is snapped that it's power instead of counter. Because in power, the kick out block comes from the front side, then in counter, the kick out block comes from the backside. And so this is the one time it works. But then they run this play 5 times this game off of this same formation and same motion.
Yes.
Whereas last week they ran duo like 8 times off of that same thing.
Yeah.
Off of this same look. What I don't understand is why not go 50-50 both games? Why not have 50% of your snaps off of this formation be duo and 50% of your snaps be power? I mean, maybe this is their setup. Like, okay, we're going to do that the third.
No.
Right?
But
and then one last thing. They don't play action off of any of these run actions one time. I don't get it.
And this would be what we call play action showing strong, right? Because that's the strong side, that's the strong side. Then you play action like here, and then you could do very basic. You could do all sorts of crap off that, and they're going to flow downhill hard on that. But the only times they play action in this game, and we don't have time to look at all of them, but the only times are weak. They're faking weak, and all these backers are sinking under it. The safeties aren't feeling they need to get involved in the run more. It's all checked down because they're just sinking. They're not buying the run at all.
Yeah.
Other than the one Geno miss, which was the one time it was a bit of a different thing off their run action, and it was the run game tied into the play fake game. But Griff, this play works because it targets the C gap area, right?
Yeah.
That is such a problem, and it's a very similar type of play.
Look at Barner.
Barner's. What we'll do here is we'll just watch the next 2 plays after, just for Barner, while remembering that C gap thing.
Look, what's really important is that Barner's like 250, man.
Yeah,
he's not 265 doing this. He's 250.
He's pure like effort. Loves run blocking.
I think like there's something to it about his strength and power to weight ratio matters so much for tight ends. I think that also shows up in his route running, like battling guys. How
he trucked that guy last week as well.
Yeah, I really think he's going to be a guy that can develop. I don't know though. We'll see.
So this is the C-gap bubble. What did Griff say? When there's a C-gap bubble, this guy can clean release up here. We can then pull around here. They do pull around here, pull around here. You can see how the C-gap is going to become the issue for the defense and the thing to target for the offense. So this is a really nice job from really good concept, great execution from the players. Good stuff.
Unfortunately, it's the only one that works.
Yeah, and then let's talk about why it's the only one which works after we've looked at 2 Barner plays, because here's Barner again, by the way.
This is
gun inside zone.
Yeah, weak zone, yep.
Which to pass, again, the 12 personnel look nice. If they can run inside zone from the gun like this out of 12, they should just get in 12 more, because they haven't been able to do this.
Kind of a badass play from the strong side 4-eye. The other one.
Oh, here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is badass. But he still gets trucked by Barner pushing a guy into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Barner's like, even if I'm going to lose my block, I'm going to do so productively. What's that saying in baseball? A productive out.
Right.
It's a productive loss for Barner. Like, he just gets it. So.
Yeah, and this is Barner again, doing a pretty good job.
Good block from Brown too.
Yeah.
Washing it down.
So yeah, so these two are like, I think you should play more for the run game.
Yeah.
And then you work maybe some strong play action off it. Anyway, as we were saying about the C-gap under center runs, which that first one worked, and that's great. That's really exciting. But the NFL is not static. And the defense that the Cardinals are running, they are very, very aware about. We have another Barner block here, Griff, on the touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Defenses are very aware of their weaknesses. So
Good block from Fant too.
let's roll it through.
So.
Yep. Gets it done. So obviously Arizona is aware of their weaknesses. So this is a 1st and 10 in the second quarter. Here's the same under center formation. So
yeah.
Here's the C gap bubble. This guy's playing tighter to it. But when teams play this type of front, one thing that they will do is, as Griff has mentioned before, they will fire zone to remove this bubble. So what they're going to do on this play is they're going to bring their weak cornerback. They're showing Baker down at the line just to keep them honest. And they also have a pressure off Baker coming into that C gap. Baker's actually going to spin deep. This guy's going to roll to the half, or really he's man-to-man on the number 1. Because it's under center to the quarterback's blind side, in terms of if he's going to hand off this way. It's also to the short side. It's an easier coverage assignment. And with this guy blitzing, everyone can slant down. And so you're basically getting into... Well, you're removing the C-gap bubble. So if you just watch the D-line, see them stem out, start to spin, and this guy's going to get here. Which is Collier, actually. And so there's just no room for the power concept. You see how this guy who's going to have a free release up to him is taken out by Collier. This guy is able to get the edge. This guy, Charbonnet, he's trying to press the C-gap, and the C-gap is completely gone with 7 still clean.
Yeah. So the kick out is good. So Barner gets crunched. Ideally, Barner he just needs to win that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't win them all. But yeah, it's cool to see how fire zoning, slanting toward the bubble is a great way to kill a lot of gap scheme runs, which we have a lot of Seahawks fans have a lot of experience of bearing witness to the success of that in 2020 and 2021. From this angle, so what the really like super coached up teams do that like really major in this stuff, when the kick out doesn't work, the lead block doesn't try to work inside him. He tries to actually overlap and work outside.
What? So he'd go here?
No. So Barner being the kick out, the lead block would work outside the kick out block instead of inside it. So if 63 Laumea reads that Barner doesn't have the width on the block, he would actually roll around Barner, go to the left.
He'd go here?
Yeah, and then the running back would follow.
Yeah, and he'd read that on the fly.
Yeah, but obviously, I mean, I think this is asking for a little too much right here.
Yeah.
That's a little too hard.
In fact, he kind of does do that. Kind of. Not really.
It's a really good play by the edge to key that so quickly and to meet him in the backfield like that.
Yeah.
That's really the main problem.
Right, so
anyway,
remember this play. Same formation. C-gap bubble. Cardinals running the same front, and it's the same pressure where they're going to roll. They're going to, well, you'll see. Oh, no, this is a different play from the Cardinals. This is now bringing Baker, so they're going at the front side of the C-gap rather than moving the line into it and bringing pressure off this side, and they're rolling like this. And once more, it completely blows up the play because they're bringing more bodies to the point of attack than you have the guys pulling to that C gap that you're trying to attack. So you'll notice how they completely remove that C gap area once more, this time pressuring into it. And so we're not like this play is obviously like the defense is obviously called a better play in than the Seahawks have called in. That's fine. That happens in football. That's to be expected, right? It's to anticipate that because the Cardinals major in this stuff, right? Like I said, they know that this C gap and this C gap are problems for when they're in this front. So they know they need to have answers like what they do here, or like what they did in the previous play where they removed the C gap like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as a play caller on the offensive side, you need to anticipate, hey, they'll do this when they get this look after we've run power once against them. So rather than calling power 3-4 more times in the game, let's have a play action look off it where we fake the power and we can protect it somehow.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to figure that out. Or let's have a let's call duo or you know.
Yeah.
But you have to stay ahead, and that's where I think my concern is that.
Or run like a reverse open, like a reverse toss or something.
Right. Well, like where you go on this guy.
Where you open to the motion and then toss to the boundary or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or have like a weak mid zone game as well, like run split zone off of it.
Also, guys, just completely unrelated to what Griff's saying, but this is in Pete Carroll parlance, this is stick slasher 2. But
love it.
Yeah.
Classic. Because the coverage in slasher 2, you've got the free safety rolling to the field, right? And then the boundary corner is playing an inverted cover 2 shell.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 6 in coverage, right?
Yep.
So it's like 2 deep, 4 under.
Yep.
Love it.
And this dude is reading the beauty of it as well as these guys, their keys are these and these, really. So it's coverage takes you to your fit, or pressure takes you to your fit.
Yeah.
So that's another example, okay?
Empty alert. But they motion.
We don't need to. Do you want to talk about this one?
Okay, all right. Do they motion Charbonnet to the strong side on this one?
Oh no. Okay, just.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Oh yeah, this is the other. Oh no, this is the bad one. They try and run the mid screen and they run it right into. I mean, I guess you'd kind of back them to be able to do that, but this is Baker's good play in the game.
So they had this though.
Yeah, they did have it.
Although Timmy blocks nobody.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
That's unfortunate. I don't know why he lets that go.
It's like he fakes him out.
Anyway, back to the power, right? So I promise these are different plays. So they're up by 9, right?
Oh, Brian's in the chat. What's up, Brian?
So now they're rolling like this again. So Baker's not blitzing into that C gap. We've got the 2 C gap issues. The Seahawks want to run into the C gap. They've shown that before. Oh, lo and behold, it's power again. And the Cardinals are bringing their weak corner blitz. And they're slanting their line into the C gap. And they're removing the play. And you have not shown a counter, pardon the pun, but you've not shown an additional option or two to help on that.
So they have keyed to this tendency
completely. Yeah, it's probably an auto check for them to do this or the other thing when they get this formation at this point.
Right. The 2x2 12 personnel with both the tight ends off. I mean, the one benefit of both tight ends being off the line of scrimmage is that either guy could technically be the motion man. So the direction of the run is being hidden, but they still know that, like, hey, they ran this formation.
Well, and Griff, to that point, actually, no, I could be wrong. Barner's been doing this, hasn't he? So I guess it's not a personnel tell.
They've both, but I don't understand. So again, like, they ran duo off of this look and motion. I just don't understand, like, why don't they do both in each game? And again, maybe we'll see that against the Packers because they run a bunch of bear fronts, as the Cardinals do. But I don't know. It's at this point, their runs are getting nipped in the bud because the Cardinals know it's coming in under center. They averaged 2.8 yards per carry in under center this game. If you eliminate the goal line run, it's 3, but right. Still. Also, sorry to soapbox about this, but to be so good in duo last week, how does a coach stop himself from wanting to see it again? Right? Like, I want to know how well they were blocking counter out of gun. Don't you want to see how well they can block duo out of under center? Because you found the run you're good at. They kept spamming counter throughout this game out of shotgun because it worked. They spammed duo last week because it worked from under center. Why wouldn't you want to go back to something that worked? I mean, they have it installed. It's on the play sheet. I don't know. Fortunately, like, it's not like it mattered this game, but
yeah, and it's that, Griff, and then it's like, you've got to, surely you anticipate that they'll do this, and you can't just be like, oh well, we'll run it for no yards. Like, Shanahan, if this guy's coming all the time, he checks into throwing that just as a
stock block. Yeah.
Like, it's bringing 2 off that side when you're faking strong is tough to protect in play action, right? Like, if you're really, unless you pull one of these guys back, right?
Yeah.
But you can't just have one play out of this look.
Yeah.
So that's why, guys, when we said that, or I said, I don't want to put words in Griff's mouth, but I tweeted that the tape was a bit disheartening. And I think it's just that it feels they've still got a lot of ways to go. Like, this was a really big improvement, and there's a lot of good things in this game. But, like, this specific example is not the only example of... obviously, we could go for, like, 5 hours on tape every time. It's not the only instance of them, lacking an anticipation or not... I'm sure maybe they did anticipate it, but then, show it. Like, what is your solution? What is your answer? What is your count? It's not even... on offense, you're dictating, so it's not even a counterpunch. It's a proactive next step.
Yeah, so like what I want to see against the Packers is I want to see the same formation and the same motion stem, but I want to see variety. I really want to see what is Grubb planning? Is it going to be a different type of run, a third run off of it, where he runs outside stretch zone off of it, or does he do a variety of things? So
right. So this is right here, Griff. This is their play action, right? So it's the same formation. This is their play action. So let me tell you, does this look like power at all to you, chat? Does this look like the power play? Yes, right? It does to start with this motion. It's all looking good. Then look where the run's faked. That's nothing like what they've shown. Now, it's because they're in the line with the hi-hats, right, and all clear pass pro. Now, it's because, as I said, picking up 2 off this side without faking weak, there's some challenges to that, but there's ways of doing it. But it's more how wide this mesh is, how high the hats are, how it looks, other than that motion, it looks nothing like your power concept. And so it's a disjointed, like last week, or I say last week, the Week 13 game. It's the same deal of the run game, and the run action is not tied into the play action game, which is a particularly big issue in under center, because one, under center play action is more effective, but two, they're really bad at under center play action when they shouldn't be. Geno has never been that bad. The Seahawks never been this bad at it, and they're just leaving a lot of meat on the bone here of like easy stuff. So the Cardinals here are actually playing Griff. Oh, that's interesting. Cover 4, quarter half, right?
The entire defense keys pass.
Yeah.
Not one of the 11 Cardinals think it's a run play at all at any point.
7's the real guy to look at, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is a linebacker. He has a run responsibility. Look where he's opening away from the run direction because he knows it's not, because he understands the tendency the tells.
Yeah.
The Seahawks don't run to the weak side and under center, yet they play fake to the weak side when it's play action. So they just completely disrespect the run fake. Now, the cool thing here is, hey, they actually protect for it.
Yeah.
And as the play will show, this is the one where Geno hits Barner, right?
He does? Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. But as Geno's back foot hits here, right, so he's just faced the defense. He's seeing his alert doubled, and then he's going to be trying to hit this, but he has to wait for this to clear, right? So he's on to DK now. He cannot throw. Well, he could, but it's going to be picked off. In the progression, it's this to this. He cannot throw this.
Now, the one thing, like, yeah, if the second level is going to cheat to the intermediate, then at least punish them underneath. That was something we didn't see against New York, between what the receivers are doing, the intent of the play call,
and they were, the receivers drift because they were keeping them in pass protection, right? They weren't actually getting out into the flat, so it was like 2 downfield, and then nothing in the flat, right?
Right. Here they had late dump off options. And so that's good. Like, I'm not going to complain about that. You picking up 8 yards is fantastic on any situation, barring, third.
Bang.
And then Barner gets even a little extra. So.
And look how pumped McDonald. We'll try and find him, but he was pumped after this one. The whole sideline is, but it's rare to see. I guess it's rare to see McDonald show this type of emotion.
Yeah. That's a pure football play, right?
Yeah.
Barner is a very interesting player. Look, he gets so low there. Okay, look, Matty, I'm going to say something really dumb.
No, say it. It's not dumb.
I think there's only one other tight end in the league that when they're running full speed has their hips sunk that low.
It's George Kittle.
It's George Kittle.
Hell yeah. I see
Even when changing direction. So you remember the dig route that Barner ran the first Cardinals game, and Geno had to put it back hip because the quarter safety was nailing down so aggressively? Through his speed cut on the dig route, Barner was turning like a motorcyclist does turning a corner. Only George Kittle gets that low.
And I'm not sure if you heard this, Griff, but the Seahawks wanted to draft Mr. Kittle.
They sure did. Look, and Barner had a 3-cone. He didn't run the 40 well, but he had an elite 3-cone. I mean, his change of direction, his agility, and his play strength, that has to add up to something in the aggregate. And like, we're showing real signs of just a solid football player as a rookie. But I really want to see what Barner does next year, not just going from year 1 to year 2, but then also with the target vacuum that Lockett will leave, assuming Lockett's gone next year. Does Barner fight for those reps? Does he fight for those targets? I think he might. I'm excited for that. So
we got some donations that I missed.
Okay.
Fats, thank you once again, man. Would getting George Fant back to play tight end do anything meaningful for the offense, or do I just want to see him get a touchdown?
I mean, I'm always in favor of running some jumbo.
Hell
Why
yeah.
not? Why not?
Well, they tried it in the short yardage failings, right?
Yeah. Real quick, Brian asks a question. What are the chances they felt they didn't need to show their counter adjustments based on game script? I mean, yeah, by the fourth quarter, the game was mostly won. So I get like not wanting to invest too much.
Yeah, but go and win the game, man. Like, you had a
Yeah.
9-point lead. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
like, and also the way that they were running it, you're almost asking for like the ball to be knocked loose on a fumble because it's a TFL, or the guy to get blown up in the backfield. Like, you have to move the ball at some point. Like, getting into 2nd and 10 territory or 3rd and 10s is that's not conducive to anything. And it's hardly revelatory to have a counter adjustment off that. Like, it's not going to blow people's mind that they have a play action off that. Like, it's it's like basic. I think that's why we find it so kind of crazy. Is it would be basic offense, but I think part of the problem that the Grubb's running into is, and this is just theorizing, but reading in between the lines of what McDonald said about sunk costs, and he was referring, I think, a bit to the defense as well there. But on the offense, they've invested, and they did invest so much into the gun drop back game, some of their no huddle stuff, and we've seen maybe the check with me to the green men resulting, and Grubb signaling that resulting in that Charbonnet long touchdown. But they invested so much in that side of it that the under center stuff, they're kind of, it feels, Griff, like they're working that out on the fly still, and it's not fleshed out. They don't have all the answers to it. They're kind of trying to play catch up in that, and it's quite it has been quite basic. Like, for instance, the problem as well with the play action being always faked weak and it not looking like a run is the pass protection. So this is early in the game, 1st and 10, right? If I know as a D line, right, and all this is from the Cardinals is field cover 3, so bear cover 3. So this guy's going to rush, curl flat, deep third.
Hook.
Oh, no, curl flat.
Strong hook. Or is
strong
Baker,
hook, weak
Baker
hook,
the strong
third.
Hook? Okay.
I don't know. That would make more sense, right?
We'll find out.
Let's find out. But anyway, which is why the Cardinals use 3 high shit.
Okay.
So
weak rotation or boundary rotation.
Mm-hmm. But if I know they always fake weak,
look, not only do they fake weak, this is duo blocking to the weak side. Matty, that doesn't exist. No team in the NFL runs weak side duo from under center.
Well, the Seahawks did that. They had that one play last week where they motioned the guy and did it, right?
One time.
But they didn't call it at all in this game.
No. And look, they've called that play maybe 3 times all season, weak side duo. No one runs it. So
right.
look, the linebackers are going backwards before Geno's even meshed with Charbonnet.
Well, look how high the hats are.
Look how high the hats are.
Already.
Opening to the weak side to an open side, no tight end. And you're getting duo footwork from the lineman as well. Like, what is this supposed to accomplish? What is the intent? Like, it's worth like asking. It's worth being incredulous about. There's no like. Look, Grubb said like one of the biggest differences is there's less practice time in the NFL than. It has to be like operational stuff. Like they don't think they're spending a lot of time on this.
And I think he said this past week as well, again, how it's hard to run in the NFL and that every team has really good players and they're still developing. But the play action stuff, it's got to be practice time. And adapting, Griff, to a world where in the NFL you have less practice time than college, right?
Yeah, definitely. But like you can still be bad at running and play action well. And the Seahawks are proof of that because they've been a bad running team in the past and still been a good play action team. What Grubb does downfield with the receivers is totally fine. Like the play action concept, pass concepts, the design of the routes, the lines you draw on the whiteboard are totally fine, but they're completely undermined by this whole tendency cat and mouse game, this information war. Like he's losing the spy game essentially.
And so this isn't necessarily fair, but I'm going to say it anyway. But when you face 5 down, like this. Generally, teams will protect man protection, so they'll go big on big, right? So the Cardinals are aware of that. But I'd also argue the reason they've run this stunt, anticipating man coverage, is that's very kind, Brian. Thank you. I will get to that. That's very kind. But anyway, the reason they run this type of deal, I think also is how predictable the Seahawks are in their play action. So there's a bit of both going on. But if you keep doing this, teams will just do this. And so this is the one play JSN's open. Even with how the linebackers get depth, this guy is a bit of a... He's hungry to come downhill. Not because of the run. I think he's just wanting to get Bobo and thinking the corner's got this. But you can see how JSN's open on this in between the hooks. Like... but Baker is interesting, like very interesting as a player.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, almost like too much on his plate, not too much freedom. Like I think you want to give him freedom. He's that type of player at his best, but like he's almost lost within so many different things. Anyway, so JSN gets open here, but they've run this game in between these guys, and Geno cannot throw this ball in time.
Do you think that's what he was wanting to do?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I see. Well, it's wide cross, isn't it?
With him sitting down.
Yeah, kind of like an adjustment.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna.
It's a cool way to get into kind of that sort of play call. I don't think they've run it from a stack to the backside before.
Right.
That's pretty interesting. So, I mean, think about how sick that would have been if they could have gotten this off.
What's cool about it as well, Griff, right, is this guy is very, very tempting eye candy for him, and with the timing of how it plays out, he's never really going to see that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I meant for this guy. Because chat, the weak hook would be a guy who could influence here.
They need to run this play off of shotgun play action against the Packers. And it will be there.
But anyway, guys, why it works for the Cardinals is they run a late text game after reading the pass. And because it's man-to-man, that requires good communication between Tomlinson and Cross. But it's also very difficult when you're pass setting for so long and they do it late like they do in the down. Like, these things take time to develop. And I think, part of it is that they were in 5 down, so they knew they were going to get man protection. But I would also suggest that the Seahawks only run play action weak. And so we saw the previous week, the whatever team the Seahawks were playing do this. The Packers are going to do it until they show a bit more. Teams are going to keep running, like getting pressure via like stuff like this late in the play action, but crucially earlier or before like the route comes open down the field.
Mm-hmm.
And people in the chat saying Geno's pocket movement is crazy. Axel saying that. Taylor agreeing. Yeah, he knows his way around the pocket. Like, and just that's poise. That's real poise.
Yeah, and you can tell that Geno's definitely thinking about his check down too, because obviously they know on tape that the second level is cheating to the pass. And yeah. What's the down and distance on this one?
I believe this is a 1st and 10.
Okay, so I mean, what did they pick up? 7 yards.
Right. 6, 7, yeah.
Charbonnet's been really good all year about getting upfield off of the catch, like this transition into getting north.
Mm-hmm.
I think we mentioned this before. As much as we love Marshawn, that was something Marshawn was really bad at, getting vertical off of catching like a short hook through the line.
He'd always go sideways.
He would hesitate, go sideways, and he couldn't accelerate. Charbonnet he's good at just going.
So on that subject, do you think Charbonnet is where am I going with this? I'm an idiot.
Is he good?
Oh, well, I think there's like a discussion in the fan base. Obviously, Walker's questionable, right? Or doubtful. There's a discussion in the fan base of like, was the run game better because Charbonnet was reading stuff and being more decisive and less like erratic and trying to create and just hitting stuff? In my eyes, Griff, it's a case of the run blocking was there. He made some good reads of like how the blocks were playing out, but ultimately, I think Walker would have hit it too. But I don't know. Do you have a different opinion?
Any competent running back as the day Charbonnet had. Charbonnet did really well. I mean, Charbonnet's tape this game is great.
Right.
But the blocking's also great. So do with that what you. I mean, what some of these are house calls for Walker. Like,
okay.
And plus Walker paces out gap scheme well. It's zone where he freestyles has some C Mike moments, which it giveth and taketh.
C Mike.
But I mean, I think Walker would have had. I mean, what did he do in college? From the pistol. I mean, he had a lot of in the gun. They were playing a lot of counter at Michigan State. So, I mean, it's right up his alley.
Hang on, did I say I like Charbonnet from under center?
I think you said that a couple of earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But what I liked Charbonnet was
you liked him gun inside zone, right?
I liked him gun inside zone, and he was kind of. He reads out gun inside zone similarly to how Carson did. Obviously, he doesn't have the punch or the vertical explosion, but they run inside zone similarly.
Yeah.
And his success rate at UCLA was very high on gun inside zone. It was like 55% or something. Yeah. And that's what they were missing from Walker off of Walker's rookie year. He was so boom or bust. They need the chain mover. And that hasn't really happened yet with Charbonnet. I think part of that's mostly been the blocking. Anyway.
So, Brian, thank you so much. That's really kind.
Thank you, Brian.
And as Brian points out as well, the check down rate in this game was a season high 30%. Yeah. Right. Anything else on the offense? I mean, we've praised the gun quick game. We could go on forever, but I'm just seeing what the time is, Griff, and I'm thinking we should probably preview the Packers.
Yeah, we should. It's good to know though that JSN, because I don't think DK is 100% right now. No. He's still getting work back in. It's cool that JSN could.
Oh, DK did some crazy, stupid. That's come out wrong a bit, but he did some inadvisable things in this game again. Like the drifting upfield.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I don't know, man.
Is it like a tension thing or like trying to hunt for a touchdown and not... He's done that a number of times. Like that was almost a pick, which would have been very bad.
Yeah. Gino kind of threw that like he expected DK to do it too, though.
Yeah, he's like, this guy.
So I don't know what the coaching points are there.
Yeah, like I say crazy stupid. It looked crazy stupid, but the coaching may be off on that. We don't know exactly what's going on there, but weird. And then there's a catch I felt he could have made, but he's clearly banged up, like clearly.
Yeah.
Showing up with like different ailments every time on the injury report as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he came back from the knee and then he's got shoulder, and he gets. In fairness, this game particularly, where he had like basically two underneath zone defenders, one over the top, paying attention to him. But which is part of playing as the isolated receiver a lot of the time as well. Like they're gonna play cover 2 to your side, you're gonna get 3 guys on you. But he was getting rocked. Like he gets bashed around in games.
Teams hit DK hard,
really hard, and he hits back. But I cannot imagine how brutal that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to see what Grubb. I mean, I don't have complaints about the passing game this week and out of shotgun, so like whatever. But I am curious what his what Grubb's response will be to DK getting clouded so much. I mean, in my mind,
there was that one cool play. Sorry, Griff.
Well, I was just gonna say really quick. He threatened speed and then just break a dig, and we saw that against Quarters, ironically, I think, and maybe cover 1, and he caught that one. But I don't know. I want to see.
And
I want to see a dig route against cover 2.
well, we're kind of repeating ourselves, but it was cool seeing JSN come out the backfield on one play to the DK isolated side, and like, okay, you're gonna all sink under DK and cloud him. Well, JSN's literally open, like it's a free like 7 yards.
Yeah.
All
All right.
And also Griff, a few new formations from Grubb, like in how the splits were this game.
Yeah.
What are the layers of that? Like we saw like 1 or 2 plays from those unique looks.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have anything else? Like, are you going to adjust from that, or is that just going to be a tell?
Right. He is less. Grubb is way less telly when the running back's in the backfield. It's when he goes into empty where, like, dude, you almost know exactly what they're about to do. And so, like, the story arc out of empty this year has been really fascinating. They were horrible the first month, and then the following like 6 games they were really good. And the reason for that is because they simply infused quick game. So they would present these formations, and the defense would know who's going deep, who's going short, just based off of who is where and who's on the line of scrimmage, who's off the line of scrimmage. But then off of those same looks, he punished them and simply ran quick game. Then they start hugging, playing it more honestly. But then that started to dry up because he hasn't layered more things off of that. Now it's like, well, empty's regressed, but then their 2x2 and 3x1 is still pretty good, which is like ironic considering the O-line. But like, hey, I'm not going to complain about that. That's good. But
well, don't complain about it.
What's that?
Well, then don't complain about it.
I won't. I just want to see. I just want to see some of the staples from last year out of empty re-feature. They were so good at it. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Packers game.
Packers, and a timely donation from David. Thanks, David. Good to see you.
David.
David, by the way, you sent me the Thanksgiving paper. I did read that. It was very interesting. I'm going to reply to your email. Thank you. Sorry, Griff, you didn't get that.
So all good.
Yeah. Anyway, Green Bay plays a lot of zone. Do we expect Tyler Lockett to see more action versus their mostly zone defense? And I'd caveat that immediately with the point that they do play a lot of zone on first and second down, but I think when it comes to those passing third downs, they will get more aggressive. And Hafley's kind of calling card, so to speak, out of what a Boston College, and what people said differentiated him from Salah, who, I mean, this is a peak out defense, let's not forget. But what differentiated him from like how Salah had played was his high usage of man coverage, man pressure, and they do some really cool stuff in like the red zone of how they play man defense, Griff. Like they show like they're playing with a post safety, and then how they handle trips bunch and stuff like that's pretty awesome. But anyway, yeah, is Lockett going to get more involved?
I don't know. I don't know.
Brilliant. That's good. Yeah. David's just donated $5, and you've got I don't know.
Maybe some like nestled curls. That would be, like a reduced split. Just run him like up.
Grubb
like
does love a nestled curl.
Like have him just run right up inside the numbers and just. It might be a big Hank game. Curl flats.
Dude, we should also say. When the Seahawks have played like the 49ers and other like cover 3 zone teams, I have found Grubb's stuff to be fairly uninspiring from a drop back perspective.
Yeah.
So this would be nice to see a bit more.
It's going to be a lot of Y cross.
Can we not have Y cross? Can we have dagger or coin, Mr. Pete's? Or do I mean Swiss coin?
Swiss coin. You got to explain Swiss coin.
It's just dagger.
Dagger.
Can we have like a rap concept, a hitch in a dip?
Well, no, he likes raps. He likes. I mean, that was the one thing.
Grubb raps. We know Grubb likes rapping. We saw it in the preseason camp, right?
But we saw a lot of raps this game against the Cardinals. A lot of like
it was a joke about. Okay. Yeah, don't worry. Remember he got on the mic.
Yeah, we're gonna see more of that.
Okay, good. But we should say, like we said this last week with Lockett, but I don't think he's slowed down. He's just not getting the ball. Like McDonald said, he's still playing a high level of football. OG3, I always liked you. McDonald said Lockett's still playing a high level of football, and I agree with that. I mean, he almost came down. If he comes down with that catch that he so often has made against the Cardinals, we're having a different conversation, I think. But like the ball is going to JSN more, but there's going to be one game where I think Lockett has a high production again, and people are like, oh yeah, because naturally attention gets paid to the other guys. But a couple of the routes he's getting right now are more of the decoy variety. Should also praise JSN's touchdown, where that was a superb concept from Grubb to beat the quarters concept from Arizona, and Gino tellingly and rightly pointed to the sideline after that one, because that was a really good call. But
agreed.
Yeah, so I could see Lockett getting more involved, particularly with their propensity to play zone on like the early downs. I think for me, I'm just I'm not I'll be pleasantly surprised if they're able to do a lot of stuff. But the Packers linebackers look awful to me. Like, I think that's one of the reasons they play man, not just Hafley's nature, but the linebackers are
in pure passing situation. Yeah. So look,
well, and even like under center run game, their linebackers are,
Well, Cooper can't move laterally.
No. Oh, dude, have you ever watched? You won't have, but the Packers Vikings first game of the season. Oof, no. Cooper. Oof. You'll literally go insane, and it's so funny as well because Hafley's just like Monte Kiffning the heck out of it. Like, he's pirating. Like, they got a far fullback. He's pirating the heck out of it. He's like praying that Cooper will be able to scrape over the top. And he's he's just lost.
So I think the more interesting matchup this game is Seattle's defense and Green Bay's offense.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, I know. We alluded to it early on. So Green Bay is one of the best deep ball teams. They go deep a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, the one thing Seattle's been good at all season, even through their struggles, is capping air yard explosives. So that's strength for strength. Something's got to give. Will it be Seattle's defense or Green Bay's offense? I don't know. Very excited for that. Love is not afraid to rip digs over the middle, but Seattle's over the middle pass defense in drop back has improved quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Their play action defense, again, is the one blemish that has not improved a whole lot recently, at least by success rate. EPA is better because of interceptions. Again, not discounting interceptions, but Green Bay is a good play action team. So I worry about Green Bay play action to the first and second level, and I worry about Green Bay's gun run game against Seattle's gun defense coming off of the Cardinals game. I think
the way LaFleur messes around with like the 3-player, like we saw Seattle messing around with the 3-player for the Cardinals and how they're popping those runs. LaFleur has enough constraints off his gun run game to mess around if you're playing too high and trying to fit the run. And Seattle had a couple of issues with that against Arizona, and it's like McDonald's probably going to have to be carrying like some like answers within his calls for that.
Yeah.
I mean, just schematically, personnel-wise, with how talented Green Bay is, like, Watson's kind of their deep threat guy, right? But they've got they almost can't. They don't have a main guy because all their receivers can do a bit of everything, and they're all used in clever ways.
Which makes me wonder, who does Woolen follow? Well, because they kind of have Woolen. You think so?
Yeah, just like body type, skill set wise.
Okay.
I think Watson mainly, but they might just put him in the boundary. Woolen this past game, actually, like I've not been afraid to say, hey, he needs to, he's doing some weird stuff. This past game, I thought he was very solid, really dialed in, some good, some really good pressed up reps, defending stuff, and some beautiful step kick reps as well, playing left and right. And Spoon has got very good at. What stood out about him, and I've said this before, but there's a reason for me repeating myself. But when he was at Illinois, he was very good at playing off and playing square and catching guys at the top of the route. But doing that in the NFL, they flag it if you make contact at the top of a receiver's route. So now he's got quite good at like leaning his body into the receiver, and then for them to separate on him, they have to push him, and he'll fly backwards. But I believe it's one of those where if they actually throw that football, that's going to get. You'd hope that would be flagged because the push off is very obvious.
Yeah,
and I think he's really denying space and playing confident. So, yeah, that's a cool matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Injury wise, Griff, there is actually some really noteworthy injuries. So obviously the Seahawks are doubtful with Walker. They're not missing anyone notable really from this game yet, though, in terms of the out list. But the Packers are down without. Do you say right? I always want to say Jair Alexander, but it's Jair, isn't it?
Yeah, Jair.
Jair Alexander out with
French,
knee.
right? Jair.
Oh, is he?
You're pronouncing it with an Anglican roots there, I think. Jairi.
I thought Jair was from America, not France.
No, he is, but the word, the name has seems French to me.
Yeah. Anyway.
Either way,
he's out with a knee issue. That's quite significant.
That's huge, man. So
also Javon Bullard's out, which I don't know how much he's been playing, but he was like their nickel, I thought. I know they've got Kayshawn Nixon as well, but he was like he wasn't their nickel. He was their down safety. They have Kayshawn Nixon. Anyway. That's quite significant.
Yeah. Look, I think they beat Green Bay and lose to Minnesota. I've been saying that for a while now, so I got to stick to it. I think 25.
So what is this based off? Like, is it based off Jordan Love being a big game hunter and the Seahawks being good at that and being able to stop the run enough?
Look, I just think the Seahawks match up better with Green Bay than they do Minnesota. I think Minnesota will give them problems in a way that will be really frustrating. I think Green Bay, it's like I can't see Green Bay blowing the roof. They can have a good offensive day, but not like one of their best of the season.
Right, come on then, mate. What's your score prediction then?
25-23 Seattle. And I think I think the offense has a solid day for Seattle as well. Again, it'll be a day where you kind of wanted more, but you'll take it. 25-23 Seattle. Mojambo put it in the record.
Monjambo, put it in the record. I think it'll be 25-23 Green Bay.
Think so? Okay. Yeah, Monjambo Bullard was, I think he was either my number one or my number two. I really liked the slow guy. Who was the super slow guy that I think the Giants drafted?
Oh, you didn't like him.
I
Nubin?
I loved him.
No.
Yeah.
No. Is he good?
I have no idea.
Sorry, Monjambo. Please, correction. I'd like it to be 24-23 to the Packers.
So you think Green Bay wins?
Yeah.
Okay. But we both agree 1-score game.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
What's really funny is like my job. I actually am responsible for like trying to predict games, and Griff is not, and yet Griff is destroying me at the prediction things. So hopefully my employer doesn't watch this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Are we done?
Yes, except, Griffin, what if I told you 95 people were watching us live right now, and yet only 48 of them have liked the video?
It's a 50%.
Oh, someone's not happy about it. Is that Brady upset?
Can you hear that? Is the mic picking that up?
I've got good
Brady,
ears.
come here.
Look, you're upsetting Brady, you bastards.
Come here.
You absolute bastards.
All right.
Good boy.
Whatever. We're done. I've said all the words I have to say.
That was a good podcast though, right? So guys, I will be back tomorrow night, sans Griffin, at 11 p.m. my time, 3 p.m. Pacific time, with a Matty marathon. I mean, Griff, you could come on if you want.
I might join late. We'll see.
Yeah, just like halftime sub. And we're just going to cycle through the defense tape, answer chat questions, just get into it, get tape. But yeah, that's right. Don't forget whose show this is. It's exactly right.
It's the Matty F. Brown Show.
Yeah. No news, no nothing. Have we forgot something? I don't think so.
Just be on the lookout for those drones.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Yeah. Apparently they're Amazon drones.
Yeah,
chat
that's
said.
exciting. I was hoping for some foreign interference.
How do you feel about Action Green? We haven't done this this season.
I like them because I think it's funny.
It's a bit.
Right. Like I would be infuriated if I rooted for a team that lost to someone wearing lime green.
Oh, dude, can you imagine?
I'd be pissed. So for those reasons, I think it's as Taylor says, Matty, have you done your homework yet? Have you watched Children of Men yet?
Monjumbo, the Action Green tops with navy bottoms makes me want apple and black currant sweets or candy, as you guys would say. I don't know why, because apple and black currants, like the black currant is black currant, it's not blue, but or navy, but it really makes me want those sweets. I might get some. Are they wearing the navy bottoms? How exciting. And no, I didn't watch Children of Men.
You should.
Okay.
Hit it,